Okay, it's almost 7:22. Waiting on folks to chime in. Let's see. All right. Hey, thanks for joining. We're going to get started in just a moment. You know what? I'm going to have one of you just put the title in the comments section while I'm waiting on some other people to join and we start off, because hold on, now I can't get this. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Tanya, do me a favor. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, thank you. I'll get this down one day. I'll get this down. Okay, it's already 7:22. Another live with Dr. Leona Allen, Freedom in Chains live book launch. So this is the third week I'm doing this, and it's been going very well. I've been getting a lot of great feedback, sharing about the book. So really how this works, I share a just a little snippet from one of the chapters, and then just discuss the story behind the story. And then after that, just answer some questions with the participants that joined me tonight. So glad to have you on. Welcome to Live with Dr. Leona at 7:22. So before I get started, remember you can pre-order your copy of Freedom in Chains at freedominchainsbook.com. And I'm coming up with some great incentives for those who join, because the information I share, I want to go deeper into it. You know, I want to answer some questions and really share things in a more intimate setting than, you know, here on Instagram. So for those who pre-order the book, you're going to get some great gifts and incentives for doing that. So again, the link to that is freedominchainsbook.com. And again, thank you for joining. So we're going to go into the third portion of our discussion today. So if you missed any earlier recordings, I'll just give you a quick update on that. And of course, you can go to my profile and catch the earlier lives. So for those who just joined, welcome. She is Tanya Nicole is here. I Fly High 27's here. Sadie Dreamin', thank you for joining me tonight. So last week, couple weeks ago, the first thing I talked about was forgiving yourself first, because Freedom in Chains, for those who haven't heard me before, Freedom in Chains first started as a memoir. It was really about my story and my journey. And a lot of people that follow me now know me as, you know, the chiropractor, the weight loss coach, the health coach. But then that evolved to more from a physical healing to a more emotional and spiritual healing. So Freedom in Chains is like a second book to my first book, which is called A Journey to Healing, which talked more about my weight loss journey, where this book is more about my spiritual healing journey. And I share a lot of details about some of the pains I've had. And it was a lot of those pains that actually led me to the health issues I had. So when I started coaching women, I realized that they were struggling with their health issues because of unresolved emotional or spiritual issues. And that's really what this book is about. And it ties in not just to talk about my story, but also give you some strategies to help you and encourage you to begin your journey and start healing at a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. So this book has been very therapeutic for me. I enjoyed writing it, and even more, I enjoy sharing it with all of you. So back to like the recap of the previous lives. The first one was forgiving yourself first, because before we can do any type of healing, we really got to be able to forgive ourselves first. And when you're able to forgive yourself, you're able to heal. And when you're able to heal, it's then that you're able to forgive others. So again, if you haven't seen that, please go to my previous lives. And then last week, we talked about exposing the lies. So once you forgive yourself, you're actually able to just look in the mirror and see the lies you've been told. I mean, the lies that we believed about ourselves, you know, and, you know, some of the worst lies are the lies we tell ourselves, that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not intelligent enough. I mean, the list goes on and on. some of the things we hear, some of the things we're taught. A lot of these are lies that we believe, and we make our decisions based on those lies. And tonight we're going to talk about discovering the truth, because we can't really understand what the truth is until we're able to understand what the lies are. So when you understand the lies that have been told, then you can understand the truth. And when I was preparing for tonight's live, I came up with a great example because, I do weight loss coaching. And it's one of those things where, you're talking to your client and you're like, okay, these are the things that you shouldn't eat. And a lot of it's things like, grains and sugars and things like that. I don't want to get into that, but they spike your energy, insulin levels and sugar and make you store fat and all that, okay? If you want to know more about that, reach me in the bio. But when you say, okay, don't eat these things, the first thing the client typically says is, okay, what do I eat? So first you learn about the lies and the things that you shouldn't be eating, and then you're exposed with, okay, and then what do I eat? And that's kind of where I'm at in this journey now. It's like, okay, I'm ready. I forgive myself. I'm ready to do better, live better. And then it's like, okay, what are the lies I've been believing about myself? And then it's like, now what? And the book shares, like, when you go through that and you start to see the lies, you go through this grieving process. It hurts. And I realize when people are struggling, when they hurt, that's when they tend to overeat. That's when they tend to sabotage. That's when they tend to make the wrong decisions. But this book is really about getting through the hurt, surviving the hurt, and finding that bliss and that freedom on the other side of that hurt. And that's what's so powerful about this. And that's why it's so exciting to get on this end of the book. So with that intro, I'm going to go ahead and share. This is part of chapter 7, and it's titled The Truth. So I'm going to go through this real quick. Freedom is knowing the truth. After you have exposed the lies, you need to uncover the truth. Before I knew the truth, I was easily deceived. People took advantage of me. I trusted the wrong people with my health, my life, my finances, and my children. It's a tough pill to swallow when you realize you've been living a lie most of your life. Admitting the mistakes I made was hard, but it was part of the healing process. Sometimes the truth is hard to accept, but I found freedom in knowing the truth. Your truth may not be the truth. Your truth may be blocking you from understanding the truth. What is your truth? What lies are you believing about yourself and your circumstances? Do you believe you are fat, ugly, stupid, unworthy, a failure? Is it your truth to be a victim? Is it your truth to feel powerless or hopeless? Is it your truth to live in fear? Is it your truth to be angry? Is it your truth to believe that you are not enough? When you have your truth, whether it's right or wrong, you're going to gravitate towards the people, places, and situations that will support that truth. So if you believe you're a victim, you will feel comfortable with other victims. If you are living in fear, you will be more comfortable with people who share that same fear. You might feel uncomfortable around someone bold, fearless, and courageous. You might dislike that person because you don't support that truth. So that's why it's really important to understand the truth. Now again, when I was reading that, I talked about your truth and I talked about the truth. And a lot of us go through life believing that our truth is the truth. But the question is, what is the truth? Okay, so you follow me? And again, this is the journey, because what I found to be the truth is what's true for me. So if for those who know me, I'm not the kind of person that really likes to shove my beliefs down your throat. But I like to teach people to learn what the truth is for them. Because think about it. I mean, this really hit me last year, because I was talking to a client of mine, how last year really made us think about our truth. It made us think about the people we surround ourselves. It really made us reflect on the decisions we've made. And it really makes you stop and say, you know what? Is this stuff that I'm believing? Is this stuff that I'm living? Is this the truth? Because the problem is we let our truth be the truth. So if we run into someone who doesn't agree with us, we're thinking they're wrong, and it ends up being a battle back and forth. But when you're very firm in believing in the truth, it gives you a foundation of, being able to discern what's right and what's wrong. And it's kind of hard to explain because this is such a personal experience. And when you read through the chapter, it'll take you steps to really help you find out what that is for you. Because this didn't happen to me overnight. This has been a journey for me, because a lot of the things that I believed in or trusted, I wouldn't touch it right now, because a lot of those things that I realized were just deceptive, very deceptive. Because in the past, I really depended on other people to tell me what the truth was, hoping that weekend seminar or that magic location around the world. But a lot of us don't realize that the truth is right in front of us. We just don't learn to listen to it. And for me, that truth was the Word of God. And for those who are like, what? The Word of God? And I'm saying that because I wasn't always this way. I always thought, I was punished by God. I didn't want to hear what he had to say at one point in my life. And for me to sit here and say this out loud on Instagram is like shocking to me, like, wow, the Word of God. But that's really what helped me. And it wasn't just reading some scriptures or listening to what other people told me. It took my own study, my own reading. And from those words, it helped me make decisions about relationships, about my jobs, about what to eat even. Because believe it or not, when you study this stuff, it really helps you realize what's true. A lot of these things that I've read about fit with nature. It fit with natural ways to deal with things. So for example, let me go back to our eating habits. When you eat in the natural way or eat in God's way, that's what leads to health. That's what leads to vitality and strength. But when you eat when you eat as a lie, you're eating foods that aren't really foods. I mean, that's about the clearest example that I can give you. It's like some of these foods are not real foods, and I will call these foods lies. These processed foods, these highly denatured foods, they're lies. But when you eat food that's natural, that works with our body, that's an example of truth. And those truths do align with the Word. So that's just an example of how I evolved to the truth. It took a lot of research to get to that point. It took a lot of trial and error to get to that point. And this is what I want to encourage you to do. Start to learn, start to study, start to read, start to think for yourself, and start to make better decisions for yourself. So when you get swamped with other people telling you things, even with me, I'm not expecting you to believe everything I tell you. You can try to take what resonates with you. And if I said something that spiked an interest, research it. Do the research. It's out there, because we can't rely on mainstream TV and tweets and all these different things. It's a good resource, but what we should be using this stuff is something to really encourage us to dig deeper. And that's what's really going to help us grow. That's what's really going to nurture our spirit. That's what's really going to help strengthen our emotions. Because what happens is when you step into the truth and you see all these other things happening, you're not as distracted. So I don't want to go too deep into this. I hope I didn't lose any of you. But in a minute, I'm going to scroll through these comments and answer some questions, because I want to make sure you follow me on this. Because writing is like one thing, and then I get on this screen and it's like looking at myself as I talk. So I appreciate the participation in the hearts. But yes. And yes, do the research and buy the book, because the book will give you some references that will help you get into your truth or the truth. Okay? Does that make sense? Give me a wave if I'm making some sense. But I really love talking about it. I could talk about it all night, but really discover the truth, because that's where confidence comes from. That's where health has come from. That's really where a lot of my strength has come from, and being able to discover the truth. And it's a powerful place to be. And then when I talk next week, it's going to be how we renew our mind with the truth. Because one thing is, once we discover it, then we got to fill our minds with that. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. So that's kind of my summary for tonight's live. So I look like I got a lot of comments. Let me go through these real quick. And please put in your questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Absolutely. One clue, and I think I do talk about that in this chapter. Tanya said that on this journey and realize that I need to find the truth in order to live a better life. And that is true because I lost my train of thought. It's like, okay, when you know you're not living in truth, when you're feeling depressed or when you're feeling anxious, that is a hint that something's not right. Because I think one gift that we tend to lose now, especially in the last 10 years with all this social media, we're so distracted and we've lost touch with our instincts. So good, strong instinct is also a good connection to the truth. So when you're sitting there like, I don't know, this doesn't feel right, we need to learn to trust that. And women especially have a great gift of instinct and really listening to the gut. So living in truth is also being in touch with your gut and your instinct. And that is what also helps us make good decisions. So when you start thinking about those decisions you made, or when you start thinking about those mistakes you made, you can look back and say, you know what? I didn't trust my gut. You know, I didn't follow the truth at that time for me. So think about that. So thanks for bringing that up. Oh, thank you, Tanya. Yes. So the 50 to 50, this is day 30, I believe. I'm losing track here. This is day 30 of the 50 to 50 launch. And, you know, it's like I turned 50 July 22nd. So July 22nd is the day that Freedom in Chains is launched. And I'm accepting pre-orders at freedomandchainsbook.com. And I'm doing the lives at 7/22. So I'm playing with numbers. So 7/22 is the day I was born. 1971 is the year I was born. That's the price of the book. And the 50 to 50 launch is because I'm counting down the days I turned 50 and the days that, you know, the remaining days to the launch of Freedom in Chains. So I'm just having fun with this whole thing and just really sharing my story. And again, the book really shares my memoir, and I go into a lot of the history of me growing up in the last 50 years. So a lot of the good, the bad, the ugly, all that. So it's a very personal book. So any questions before I like to keep these short and sweet, but I really appreciate y'all sharing this time with me. All right. Well, if there's no questions, and for any of you listening to the replay later, please share your comments, questions, suggestions. In July, I'm really going to ramp it up and really have some more fun and have some surprises along the way. So, you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm on Facebook as well, Dr. Leona. And, I'm going to call it a night. So, again, I enjoy being here with y'all. I'll be here next Wednesday at 7:22 p.m. Eastern. And hold on, I'm going to push this button real quick. I hope I see a little notification. I don't know what it means. Okay. All right, it's just a comment. All right, thanks for the feedback. So you pre-order, thank you for the question, Dana Lee Jones. The pre-order is at freedomandchainsbook.com. freedomandchainsbook, all one word, .com. Okay? And then when you order, you'll get added to a list, and then you'll get special invitations and updates for those who pre-order, because I'm going to announce those in July. So stay tuned, follow me next week, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening